Please note that any recording of this performance, either through video or photography, is strictly prohibited. Please take a brief moment to turn off all sound producing and all light producing devices, and unwrap any cellophane wrapped candies. Should you need to take or make a phone call or respond to a text message, please exit the auditorium to do so. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoy today's performance and look forward to seeing you at our next production.
So much light, daylights all the time, and on sunny days it almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace?
It was a factory. I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why go work there?
I was 15. It was time I paid my own way.
Paid your own way? What about school?
Oh, I didn't miss it so much. The girls were all so nice, and the work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work, really. It was more like art. We were artists painting those dials.
I'm not really the one you should be talking to. But Von Sashaki, he is who you should talk to.
Now, Arthur, you know he won't talk to us.
It was his process.
Tell me about that process, Arthur. You used a powder.
We used a powder. The girls mixed it with an adhesive to make the paint. And that business with the brushes, I didn't invent that. They were doing that when I started there.
But you knew about it.
We all knew about it. We just didn't realize what it meant.
Irene? In here! Irene, what are you doing? Shut the door!
Amalia's working inspection today.
Is that bad?
Not for us. She's gonna be sitting in this room all day in the dark, by herself, checking dials.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
So we're gonna give her a little surprise.
Boo. Like the Cheshire
Won't
Cat.
that make her mad?
Let her get mad.
That's half the fun.
I don't want to make her mad.
Oh, Grace, do you have to be that way about everything?
What way?
Your teeth, Grace.
No.
Let me put some on your
No.
teeth.
Ain't like Amalia don't deserve it. She paints more dials than half the girls on the floor and can't be bothered to talk to nobody either. You ask her, Amalia, what's new? She just looks at you funny.
I don't think she can speak much English.
Well, it wouldn't kill her to smile, would it?
She's coming. Get the light!
Mrs. McNeil!
Painting your faces. Have you lost your mind?
It was just a joke.
Just a joke? A joke like that can lose a girl her job.
Now, Mrs. McNeil, I'm sure that is not necessary.
I don't tolerate no foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very good. Foolishness we do not want, do we, Mr. Reader? This is the inspection room. All of the dials come here that are painted. And these are the girls on the floor should be working. Girls, this is Mr. Reader, my new vice president and your new plant manager.
I was just telling Mr. Reader what a fine bunch of girls we have here. He must think I'm halfway out of my mind.
Mr. Reader, perhaps you have some words for the girls. Mrs. McNeil.
Well, girls, this paint you've been playing with, it's very expensive, you realize this?
Mm-hmm.
It takes several tons of ore to produce a single gram of radium. That's a lot of work. Hard work for the men in the extraction plants. But they do this work gladly. You understand why they work so hard? What we are all working for?
The war?
That's right, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys in the field depend on them. To read them in the dark, no mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of those boys won't be coming home. And so, if you play around and don't take the work seriously, well, you're playing into the hands of the Kaiser. And we don't want that, now do we?
No, sir.
So let's get back to work now and leave the tomfoolery to home.
Mr. Reader, I just wanted to say I am sorry. I won't do nothing like this ever again.
Well, dear, just keep this in mind. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic, the Graphic's only girl reporter.
Jack Youngwood here for the New York Ledger, New York's first source for news.
Madame Marie Curie, eminent French scientist, embarks on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science is headed to Washington to receive a gift of 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased for her by the Marie Curie Radium Association, a radium club, an association of over 100,000 American women.
Each gave $1 to support humanitarian research with radium.
Oh, Grace, over here. Irene, guess what? I got my certificate. Member Marie Curie Radium Club.
You gave $1?
It's all for science. Science? What about my room and board? Look, there she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I must ask you, please limit your questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule and is under doctor's orders to rest. However, in true fashion of a scientist who can think of only her work, she has refused to do so.
Madame Curie, what will you do with the radium? What will you do with the radium?
I will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium a cure for all cancer?
Cure for the cancer? Yes. Yes, a cure for the cancer. That is so. It has already cured all kinds of the cancer.
But some doctors dispute that.
Then they do not understand the method. There is no question. Radium will cure the cancer.
Madame Curie, Madame Curie! How have you managed to devote yourself both to science and also to your children?
It has not been easy. But my daughters share my gratitude to the American women for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madame Curie! Madame Curie!
No more questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent her car and will escort her personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Harding will present the gift. 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? That is a marketing opportunity. Let's send to one of our customers' watches, courtesy the United States Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous watches, luminous clocks. Anyone who thinks these are just novelties, consider all the advances that have been made in the past 50 years. The electric light, the telegraph, the automobile. All inventions once dismissed as novelties, as toys,
Are now essentials to modern life. Got it. That ought to sell some watches.
Watches, absolutely. But that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You heard the lady. It's the medical market.
Anti-gender chemical owns
Only because Von Sashaki lets them take it. But if we wanted to, we could get half their business. It's just a matter of positioning.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal, sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly that the doctors would respect.
A bibliography, listing every article ever published on radium.
But with capsule reports, to save the doctors time. They'd get the information, find it fast.
Us to thank for it.
We'll send it to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Doctoring the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. That's the wave of the future. It's not just the product. It's the way you promote it.
You should have seen it, Grace. The church was filled with flowers, lilies and carnations and orchids. You know how Amalia loved orchids.
Those weren't orchids.
They were orchids, Irene.
Flags.
Orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. Purple orchids. Oh, and that smell. What was that smell? It was like
flowers?
No, it was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven.
Like heaven, Catherine, it was just a funeral. You make it out like it was some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral, it was Amalia's, and it was beautiful. The church was like the botanical gardens. The company sent a big spray of flowers, too. Carnations?
Mums.
Yellow carnations.
Those were mums.
Well, it sounds like a nice service anyhow.
Girls, the whistle's already gone. Now then, I've received some new instructions today. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. We was losing too much paint with the cloth.
But...
Yes, Grace, is there something you'd like to say?
Dr. Von Sashaki told me not to do that. He said it was unsanitary.
Unsanitary? Well, I can hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've been doing this as long as I've been here. You must have misunderstood him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not to get a new brush until you're completely done with the old one, and it's got to be so bad you can't get a point no more.
You can't make quota like that.
Well, you'll do your best, since I have my new instructions.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking the questions, it's for us to be doing the work.
My instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's some instructions for you, McNeil. Let some of the starch out of your corset.
Is she at the service?
McNeil, are you kidding? You think she'd cross the street for her own mother?
Most everyone else was, though. You was about the only girl from the floor that wasn't there.
I wanted to come, but Ma was working and I had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought them.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I'd have tried to get there.
Oh, lay off. Grace feels bad enough as it is.
Were many of the fellas there?
Oh yeah, lots of the fellas from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the front office, Dr. Von Shishaki was there, and Mr. Reeder.
And he left early.
So he was there all the same. Oh, and Grace, you know that fellow from crystallizing? The one with the red hair. He was there. Do you know who I mean?
The tall fellow
all the time.
George.
Jerry.
I think it is George.
No, it's Jerry. Jerry Mallon. He's the one who was always talking to Amalia in the day room.
So anyway, Grace, when the mass was over, he goes over to the coffin and he goes like this. Like this, he goes...
No!
Yeah.
Really? Oh, for pity's sake!
Well, he did, and no one could believe it.
So what if he did?
So what? He was in love with her. That's so what.
I mean, I guess he had to have been if he did something like that.
And can you imagine if he loved her, but he could never bring himself to say because she was so beautiful and he was so shy and now it's too late. Their love forever thwarted. He never got the chance to tell her, and he'll never get the chance to ever again.
Poor Amalia.
Poor Amalia.
Poor kid.
Her family took it awful bad too, Grace. Albina, Kinta, every one of them crying. Even her father crying so bad. I never seen a man cry like that before, just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too.
Because their daughter had died.
What she died from.
Irene. Don't go spreading stories.
It's not a story. Albina told us. No reason Grace shouldn't know.
Know what? Know what? Amalia?
Ain't it awful? Albina said her father's fit to be tied to. 6 girls at home and ain't none of them ever going to a dance. Ever again.
All because Amalia up and died from syphilis. Shh. What? I can't help it if that's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
Guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong.
Come on.
He could have got it wrong. I mean, doctors are wrong sometimes.
That's true. Doctor was wrong about Aunt Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with this?
Irene, don't you remember? Up to the day she died, Doctor said Aunt Ivy would be fine. Just drink a cup of tea and get a good night's rest. And 2 days later, we were taking her up to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, your attention, please. These gentlemen are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mrs. McNeil. Girls, we are here to put a few rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, yeah?
Yes. As some of you might have heard by now, Dr. Von Sashaki will be stepping down, and he wanted to take this opportunity to
bid goodbye. And Mr. Leader has kindly consented. Some of you I have known since you were little girls, coming here during the war, working so hard, day after day at the bench. 200, 300, some of you $500 a day. So excited to be part of our work here. When this company, I start in my own kitchen, mixing up the paint. I knew I found something miraculous. It'll make life better, easier. And now, what do I read? More and more uses are there for the radium. More than I dreamed possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the doctor is a very busy man and must be on his way, so let's wish him the best of luck in his new business ventures. Very good then, girls.
And let us good luck wish to Mr. Leader also. To the plate he steps as your new company president. Our congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yes.
When Mr. Leader came to us 4 years ago, I saw in him a man of great enterprise and great ambition.
Thank you, yes.
Little did I guess the direction your ambition would take.
Thank you,
but
yes.
one of the things that makes this country great is the opportunity it presents to a young man.
And
his
so,
friends.
girls.
And so, ladies, let us wish Mr. Leader the best of luck in the new direction he intends the company to take.
New directions.
With the slowdown
now,
in dial
Doctor.
painting and the company moving into the medical markets, there's going to be lots of changes. Yeah?
What the doctor is referring to. Some of our larger customers will be setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
In the short run. However, the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut will need help setting up its new studio. We were intending to make an announcement next week, but we'll make it now. Mrs. McNeil?
Well, we'll be asking some of you to go on up there.
The work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. You had some girls in mind?
Yes. Louise Conlon was one, Sarah Deutsch, Lena McCarthy, and Catherine Schaub. I have the rest of the list downstairs. I'll post it later today.
Fine. Well, there you have it, girls. As we are all on the clock, we'll leave you to your work.
Thank you, ladies. My best wishes to all of you.
Now that's back to work with you girls.
Are you gonna do it, Catherine? Are you gonna take that job?
Would you, Grace? Would you go to Connecticut?
I don't know. It's awful far. I mean, Tommy would have a fit.
Oh, come on, Grace. It'd be fun. Want to be fun, Irene? Irene?
Irene, honey, are you all right?
Huh? Yeah, why wouldn't I be all right?
Your mouth is bleeding.
$35 a week, and she quits the place.
More to life than money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom, but you and Grace get to be my age with a house full of your kids underfoot. You'll thank God for every penny you put by.
Well, we got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married on.
Don't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
Well, you let us get married. We'll figure it out.
Are you still eating, Tommy?
Yeah, it's good.
But you're gonna get fat.
Gotta keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Don't start,
I didn't say nothing. It was your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face, Tom, when he found out Grace wasn't working no more. Most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good work, easy money, nice-looking fellows hanging around the plant.
Wait, you didn't tell me about them, Grace.
There weren't that many of them. It hardly seemed worth the mention.
And she leaves it all behind. For what? I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck? I says. Who needs a paycheck? She says. I got me a boyfriend to take me out on Saturdays.
What, she said that?
You know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. I started at the bank on Monday.
Oh yeah, the bank. And what's it pay?
Enough.
Enough. Always enough. You know what that means, Tom. It don't come close to what it pays up at the radium plant.
But it's office work.
Office work? Well, I guess that means you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
She's really mad at you.
Don't see what difference it makes so long as I'm working somewhere.
Well, it don't make no difference to me. I just thought you liked it up there.
Of course I liked it up there. I worked there for 4 years.
So? I've been delivering mail almost 8 years. I'm planning on keeping delivering mail another 20, 30 years if I'm lucky. Yeah, there's nothing like good work and a steady pension to help you sleep at night.
I don't have a pension and I sleep just fine.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do.
Oh, Tom. Tom. Oh.
All right. So, why'd you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. The work is slow, and besides, since Irene left, it's just not as much fun. And wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend who works at a bank?
Not as much as I'd like to have a girlfriend who don't work anywhere.
Close your eyes, I got a surprise for you.
Oh, yeah? You want me to pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise, close your eyes. Okay, now look.
Wallpaper.
For the baby's room.
The baby's room? What, you won't kiss me and you're talking about babies?
It's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Well, yeah, but Grace, most girls like to get married before they decorate the nursery.
Plan ahead for once.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has white flowers and this one has red flowers, so pick one.
Wait, is this some kind of test?
No, it's just wallpaper.
Oh, this is definitely some kind of test.
Pick one, Tommy.
That one.
Really?
Okay, the other one then.
Yeah, but which do you like, though?
I don't know, they're both nice.
This one's nice, don't you think?
Okay, so that one.
But I want you to like it, too.
Well, if you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper's wallpaper.
No, it's not. You gotta pick something you can stand to look at for 20 years.
Oh yeah, the same way you pick women?
Keep it up, smarty pants, you won't ever get that kiss.
All right, this one, hands down.
I like it, too. White flowers can go with both a boy and a girl, and until the baby comes, you can use the room for other things.
Yeah, like what?
Like a painting studio, maybe?
A painting studio, maybe? Didn't you get enough of painting at the office?
Not the kind I wanted to do. Tommy, at school I used to do watercolors, and ever since I went to work, I just haven't had the time. Once we're married, I just want a little time. Just a little time to myself. So I can do watercolors. Or maybe oils. Maybe portraits and oil. I can paint your picture if you'd like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll paint a big picture of me. We'll hang it in the outhouse, and all our friends will come by just so they can use the can to look at it.
The way you talk sometimes.
Oh, Grace, you want to paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop you.
Say that now, but once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Yeah, sure. I'll be whistling Dixie.
Will you come home all late one night, some Christmas maybe, when all the customers on your route have had 3 times the mail, and maybe some dog took after you, and some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop telling you all about her grandchildren, and you won't have the heart to tell her you can't talk. I know you. So you come home all cranky and late besides, hungry, wanting your dinner. And there I am with my easel set up in the kitchen, a drop cloth on the floor, and my paints all over the table. Your dinner nowhere in sight. What'd you say then?
Well, better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you'd say. Where's my dinner?
Well, yeah, but, I mean, I'd still admire the painting. Just like to look at it on a full stomach, that's all. So, how'd I do? Did I pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go look at stripes.
Stripes, polka dots, who cares? Grace, let's just get married. You're plenty old enough. Tell your mom we ain't waiting no more. We'll just run off.
Tommy, we are not gonna run off. We are going to do this right. A nice little church wedding with flowers and music, and then a week at the seashore. Just us. And after that, we'll get set up in our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
All right.
Ow.
Is your jaw still hurting you?
Yeah, the dentist wants to pull another tooth in the back.
Well, what's a tooth?
Hazel Kuzer, any connection to the others?
By virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here.
That's 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the magic girl.
I would include her.
Why? She worked here.
She also worked other places, and what she died from, you couldn't get here. At least I don't think you could.
That's not funny, Charlie. Besides, that's just idle talk.
My experience is often something to that idle talk, especially when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians, the conditions they live in. 10 to 12 people in 3 rooms. It's a wonder they don't all die of one infection or another.
3 then, and how many dead?
Only Miss Magda, but I haven't heard from her people.
It's too late for them anyway. The statute of limitations is 2 years. But Miss Kuzer is another story. She's in a position to make some trouble now.
And all the time I've been here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. And now this.
We're talking about 3 or 4 girls here. Out of the how many hundreds that we employ?
600, 700 over the years.
And some of them were sick when they got here. That one girl you hired was a complete cripple. Couldn't even get herself up the stairs. Her father carried her to the studio every morning.
It didn't make any difference to me how she got up the stairs. She was a fast worker and a very sweet little girl.
She was in poor health.
She needed the work.
Barley.
And not just for the money. To feel productive, to have a purpose. That's what work does, Charlie. It gives us a purpose. I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider that policy.
Let's see what Dr. Drinker has to say.
Dr. Drinker.
Some professor at the Harvard University of Industrial Hygiene.
He chairs the department, and he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit here? Bringing him in?
We've had 6 girls quit this week, and Mrs. McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
It's never been like this. These girls are terrified. We've got to do something to calm them.
Letting Drinker examine them. That sounds like a recipe for mass hysteria to me.
We'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward?
Companies give physicals all the time.
Then Drinker will start next month.
In the meantime, I recommend we make an offer to Miss Kuzer.
You think we should settle?
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity that it brings, and neither will the investors.
You think this could affect the stock offer, don't
Don't you?
Wonderful. We'll open at 30 and close at 10.
Or not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, it'll keep her quiet.
It would be a condition of the settlement.
Suppose this lawyer has a racket going. He finds sick girls and talks them into making suits. Then we reward him for his larceny.
Unless Miss Kuzer genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said, comes from a large immigrant family, not a lot of resources, not well educated.
A few $100s could make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly, pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sounds of the letter, I don't think she has long to live anyway.
So it would be a gesture of decency, then.
Exactly.
What do you think we should offer?
March 24th, 1924. Jack Youngwood here for the New York Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic. Still the Graphic's only girl reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies suggest a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water products offer a miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients reported a significant abatement in those symptoms.
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels of the Bronx tells how radium water transformed her life.
My pain got so bad, I couldn't hardly bend over.
While others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave woman could not even bend down to kiss her little ones goodnight.
And I got 3. Let me tell you, they are a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martin, Chief Medical Examiner of Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary evidence.
Your recommendations, Dr. Martin.
I advise further study. Further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Radithor.
They said it helped my rheumatism, so I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
That study was questionably small.
Well, first off, I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that hard. Now I drink a bottle a week just to maintain my
Dr. William J.A. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radium, reports strong demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey of Orange announces sales of Radium have exceeded 100,000 cases worldwide.
A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
You rather look like you're 30.
A testament to the tonic's potency.
Or the seller's creativity.
And a perpetual money machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
Don't need no appointment.
But this is a busy place, Catherine. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you
I
should
shouldn't
make
need
one.
no appointment for this.
I didn't find anything under Schaub.
No, it's under Rudolph.
Rudolph?
The girl I'm asking about, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file a complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist?
Dr. Neff, Irene's dentist. He said she might have Fossy jaw. He was gonna complain to the health department about it. But when I asked him, he said he hadn't heard nothing. It's been more than 6 months now.
Fossy jaw?
Yes.
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said, a blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. What was it from?
From dirt. You get infections from dirt.
From dirt? Her face puffed up like a pumpkin. Her jaw rotted so bad she couldn't eat nothing. But you think you get something like that from a little dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everyone it's radium in that paint, but it's really phosphorus that makes it glow.
Honestly, Catherine, you really can't believe that.
You saw her, Grace.
Catherine, if it was like you say, they never would have even let you work up there in the first place.
Sure, they just shut the place down.
Shut it down? Who? Who was gonna shut it down?
I don't know. The county?
Honestly, Grace, you're such a ninny.
Hey.
How are they gonna shut it down if they don't ever know about it? Ever think of that?
Now come on, Catherine.
It's all right, Tommy.
No, she ain't got no business talking to you like that.
She's just upset.
Upset? She's going around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water now. Oh, and next they'll be using babies to stoke the furnace or something.
Go ahead and laugh. But you won't be laughing so hard when it's you coming up here in 6 months asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Catherine, it's just a toothache.
Just a toothache? Yeah. That's how it started for Irene. Just a toothache. You wait, Grace. You wait. You'll wake up one morning, your gums hurting so bad you won't be able to open your mouth. So weak and sick you won't be able to stand.
Stop
the pain
it,
is so
Catherine.
bad you won't be able to sleep, and your mouth's so swollen you won't be able to
I
stand
said
inside
stop
of
it!
yourself.
All right, Grace is fine. Right, Gracie?
Irene Rudolph?
That's it.
She work at the plant?
Yes, sir.
Nothing.
Huh?
The company is in full compliance with all state, labor,
Let me
and,
see.
Miss, really,
Who's Miss Young?
Miss Young is the health officer.
Paint is a harmless compound of radium and zinc.
As I was saying, there is no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There, you see, Catherine?
I'm sorry, Miss Young toured it herself.
Well, I guess we can go get some lunch then.
I want to file another complaint.
Well, they already did an investigation.
I want to file another complaint.
Oh, brother.
Catherine, these folks, they're awful busy.
I want to file another
I
complaint.
just don't see what good this is gonna do, Catherine, to make such a fuss like this.
Grace, 3 surgeries in and they wanted to cut her open again. She finally said no. She knew. What was left of her jaw had rotted so badly. The smell was terrible, and Grace, the worst of it is I couldn't look at her. Irene was so afraid of being alone, but I left her alone. When she died, it was in the middle of the night, and nobody was with her.
I'm sorry, can we have another form? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint. Is this girl still sick?
No, she died.
Wait here.
Harriet! Harriet, come down from that tree at once! Fine. When he gets here, I'll send him up after you.
Harriet!
Harriet, come down at once!
Can you? Do you see your grandfather?
You think this is funny?
She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
Tell you what, if she has no one to shout to, she won't shout.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diane.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
Time is on your side. In another year or two, she'll lose all interest in trees and develop a fascination with boys.
That's supposed to scare me.
And when that day comes, you'll be terrified because she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
Something to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what it says on the bottle. Want to try
here?
it? Where's the flyer? Want to try it?
If it'll give me vitality, how could I refuse? Your father came by to see me today.
Another hard luck case?
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Wife in the hospital with cancer.
Yes.
And the husband's been laid off from, let's see, the brickyard.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad was around to see me yesterday. It's never enough with him just to have ordinary ambitions. You have to have a mission in life.
And you do.
No, I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you want to help this man if you could.
If I could, but I can't give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dr. Lehman?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help?
In the laboratory? Dan needs trained technicians, not a bricklayer. Why don't you send him to Mrs. Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
Yes, the club takes an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either, which is why I thought you could help him.
Oh, you do love being married to the company president.
It has its advantages.
Do you ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
I got my shoes shined this morning, and while I sat there and watched the boy work, I thought, this is quite an enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks out, no health inspectors, no warehouse, no inventory, no stock price.
So you're in one of those moods again. What is it this time? It can't be the market. It went up today.
Now you're reading the financial pages.
I have to entertain myself somehow. So what is it? You're being very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
You can tell me you know.
Nothing to tell. Really, this is going to be our best year ever.
So it's the prospect of success you find so disheartening.
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
Your bricklayer.
Artie, he needs a job, not charity. What is it your father always says? A working man needs to work.
It wears on his soul not to work. Well, it's a matter of his soul. That's different. I'll have him talk to Dan.
Artie.
But I make no promises, Diane.
No promises.
To your health.
About how long have you had this drainage?
A week or two. It hurts something awful, Dr. Neff.
Anything else bothering you?
Back hurts some too.
You're back now. You seen your regular doctor?
He says it's nerves.
Nerves.
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no simple case of nerves. Hope you told him that.
What do you think?
I think you better schedule that surgery.
Couldn't we put it off a little till maybe after my wedding?
You don't have that surgery, you won't have no wedding.
Huh?
Miss Fire, listen to me. Your jawbone is decaying. That's the black pus oozing out of your gums. It's the gum itself.
That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation, from Dr. Cecil Drinker, Harvard University. Enclosed is our report.
Finally.
We believe the trouble in your plant is due to the radium.
Radium?
It can't be as bad as all that.
This can't be.
Put off the surgery any longer and you will develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds.
Everything I've got, I've saved for my wedding.
Photographic film carried by the employees shows heavy fogging.
Well, I got a suggestion for you.
We suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant.
Go to the radium plant and explain your situation.
Go to the company.
We realize no proof can be offered at present.
Once they see what kind of shape you're in,
This is impossible.
they gotta feel obligated to help you out.
But in view of the material of the literature,
It's a mistake.
and the facts disclosed in our investigation,
I don't see how they could refuse.
we recommend immediate and drastic remedial action.
Look, if you want, I can help you write it. They can work through me. Just pay my bills directly.
You think they'd do that?
Charlie!
They got a moral obligation, don't you think?
I guess so.
We'll do it right now. Let's go get some paper.
He has to be wrong. That's all. He's wrong. Charlie! He has to be wrong.
He must have overlooked something.
If we're suffering from a new ailment caused by the radium, it should occur generally throughout the plant. There are several hundred milligrams in solution at all times in the big vats. Several hundred in crystallizing, several hundred in the ore.
The backyard is filled with tailings.
The radium is present in good amounts all over the property.
But if it's the radium, then incidence of illness should be highest in the laboratory.
And no one there is sick!
Perhaps some combination of the radium and the zinc.
Or something peculiar to our plant alone?
Maybe a bacterium. Perhaps in the
It can't be the radium. There are dozens of application plants all across the country, and none of them has reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What are we going to do? This tears us to pieces. How do we answer them?
They want to see the report? We'll send them this.
One page?
The most important page.
Drinker will never stand for
Drinker works for us. This is a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
The Department of Labor.
We just need time, Charlie. Just a little time.
They could shut us down for this.
Scientists! Government men! They have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Sashaki thought advertising was a dirty word. He left at the very idea of promotion. I can't tell you how many times I walked into that man's office and he turned a deaf ear to every idea I told him. But Charlie, we showed him. We showed him. Look at us, Charlie. We are the world's largest single producer of radium. The largest in the world. You know what it took for us to get here. Do you think I'm going to stand idly by and let our good name be dragged through the mud? Trust me, Charlie.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear, not at all.
I told the surgeon you was coming, so he gave me the results of my blood work.
Ah, excellent.
And so?
I must say, Miss Fry, your blood looks better than mine.
It does?
It's what happens to an old man who smokes. Now, tell me, dearie, what else is ailing you?
Feet and my back mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
So I see, and this happened before or after you left the company?
After I left. Dr. Neff said this had to do with the radium plant, and another girl I worked with died from it, Irene Rudolph.
Ah, yes. Terrible thing, Vincent's angina.
What's that?
It's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium?
No, it's an unfortunate and rare result of poor dental care. So let that be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
There's something else about this in the paper about other girls who got sick. Another girl I worked with right now is in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. I mean, they have never seen anything like this.
Miss Fryer, don't tell me you pay any attention to those papers. They're not scientific.
But
reporters are not scientific. They do not follow scientific methods. They write to sell, not to educate. Now, the scientist is not concerned with what sells, he is concerned with the truth. He undertakes years of painstaking research to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural processes that most people could never presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to scientists and ignore the nonsense that's printed in newspapers, because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what ails you.
It doesn't?
Not in the slightest.
Then what is ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer. Poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said...
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You need to eat more fresh fruits.
Hard to do in the winter.
And raw meat as well. It'll help with the anemia. Raw calf's liver in particular. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at a minimum. Oh, no, I'm a scientist, Miss Fryer, and I take a purely scientific interest in this matter. By allowing me to examine you, you are allowing me to further my research. I thank you. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thank you.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, Physiology, Columbia University, PhD, that's not a real doctor.
My findings, Mr. Reader.
He's seen half a dozen girls that used to work at the company. Word I hear, he's working for him.
An objective evaluation, I trust?
The source of my funding has no bearing on my research.
I let that fella examine me.
I never examined her, per se. It was not a medical examination, per se.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer her some useful advice?
I did my best for her.
Every girl he sees, it's the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood is better than mine, he says.
And how are you doing on the rest of your reports?
Well, the animal studies I conducted revealed no adverse effects from the radium. The only problem, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I can't believe someone would do that to you. Just straight out lie to you like that.
Nothing surprises me.
It's exactly the way you said, Catherine. These people will say anything, they will do anything.
Except the right thing.
We're gonna make him, Catherine. We're gonna make sure someone hears about this.
I am most grateful, Dr. Flynn. But I am especially grateful to hear that the young lady you examined is doing so much better.
I never examined her. No, I merely consulted with her.
All the same, she's doing much better, isn't that so?
Yes, I'm happy to say she looks like she is well on the way to recovery.
Excellent.
Here is my statement on fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you a check.
And so I leave you now with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who would wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Wiley, and thank you to the members of the New Jersey's Consumers League for another job well done. At this time, I don't think we have time for questions, but we hope you will join us next door for some light refreshments.
You need anything?
My throat's a little dry.
Can I help you?
I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a guest of the Women's Club.
No, ma'am.
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am.
Well, then I'm sure Miss Wiley would be happy to see you during her regular business
I'm not
hours.
leaving here till I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Mrs. Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Fryer.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department said I should talk to you. I know I should have come by your office, but I've missed a lot of work lately, and I don't want to miss no more.
No need to apologize. I've been meaning to call on you myself. Please, sit down.
Well, me and Catherine, we wrote to the company about our problems, but we never heard nothing. So then we went to go see a couple lawyers, only they all said they can't do nothing since it's been so long since we left the company. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right, and one lawyer said he'd try to sue anyhow, only he wanted $1,000 up front, and I already spent everything I saved for my wedding on doctors, dentists, and hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong with me exactly. And Tom, that's my fella, he says that he just don't care, that he wants to get married anyhow. Only I wonder what good I would do him like this. Miss Wiley, if I could just get some compensation, I could settle my debts, and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I was saddling Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry to rattle on at you about these things. I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young said the Consumers League had, what did she say, clout?
I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
So can you help us?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find a lawyer to take your case. Someone willing to take it on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay him unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now suppose the company says, here's some money for you, Miss Fryer, only you are to tell no one what we've agreed to. You are to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes.
That don't seem right.
It isn't right, but that's what they'll do. They will try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No, ma'am, it isn't.
Good.
So you can help us.
I think I can help you, if you're willing to take some chances.
Chances?
If you would be willing to put aside your own need, just for the moment, we could put a stop to this company. We can stop them dead in their tracks.
What would I have to do?
We start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1? You want her talking in the newspaper?
Not just one newspaper, many, many newspapers.
What, is that really necessary? All we want is for Grace to get her
Tommy,
compensation.
Let her finish.
I understand your concerns, but this company has already shown it's willing to go to extremes to protect itself. No, I'm afraid the only way we'll get to them is to hit them where it matters most. Their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how you were sorely treated, how you suffered, how the company denied all responsibility. Believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley, I'll do it.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's okay, right now I am more angry than I am scared.
Good. You hang on to that anger. You're going to need it. Only be sure no one else sees it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer. That's our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
strange case of the Radium Girls.
Who claimed they were poisoned at the hands of their employer.
And now seek their day in court.
$250,000?
That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000? Max me all a sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working, sure.
Doctors say the Radium Girls only have a year left to live.
Only 1 year to live and 250 grand to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do? What would you do to ease your last suffering days on Earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy a wardrobe just like Irene Castle's.
I'd give it all to charity.
And then I'd travel around the world first class with all of my friends.
I play the stock market.
Fur coat with a diamond the size of your hair.
I'd use it to pay my medical bills. And pay off the second mortgage on our house. The one that my father took out to pay for my last operation. Grace Fire sits at home,
Suffering vainly this whole
struggling valiantly to keep up with the lack of spirit.
for the sake of family and friends.
It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy. Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel, knowing you have so little time left? I try not to think about it. Wait, then
And the company's getting fat off your labor.
no comment!
You just want to punch somebody?
Oh no, that won't do no good. I just like to think about how it's going to be when justice prevails. Then I can do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. Never to have a honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in life as nobly as this young girl.
Mr. Barry, I don't take these kind of histrionics.
I had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
Oh, I've been in this game for a long time, Mr. Barry, and when I see a story like this, move over the wires. I'm not so naive to believe that a plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 to each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's wages.
We believe that it's a very generous offer, considering that your case won't even survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury, your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of the injury was discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Barry. Very clever. I admire your imagination, but you have a long way to go before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take a great interest in the story, and in the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt that'll prove to be a good story for the Consumers League, and you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know very well the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or I say if this case goes to trial, I only hope that your opening argument, Mr. Barry, you would have made our defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man.
Tell me again the purpose of these articles, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. That's the engine of reform.
You're antagonizing the company.
And the strategy is working.
And what about the girls? How does it help them to read a dozen different newspapers that they have so little time to live?
Mr. Barry, surely you can see. The U.S. Radium Corporation cares nothing about the girls it has poisoned. But the average housewife in Orange does. These women shop, they buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome. And he knows it. That's why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. Wait and see.
Miss Schaub. I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe, and I'm so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement, the well-being of the average worker is overlooked. I would like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It's called Christian Science.
Dear Miss Fryer, I read of your woeful situation in the Atlantic Constitution and am prepared to offer you a solution. Venacine, a wonder tonic made from all natural ingredients. Venacine will restore your health and vitality. Now I am prepared to offer you girls a lifetime supply of Venacine in exchange for the exclusive rights to use your photos in our advertisements.
Howdy, girlie. I read about you in the Billings Gazette. I run 100 heads of cattle and I am doing fine by myself. Now, I have always longed for a companion and I am well equipped to offer you a comfortable home in your final hours. A girl like you has suffered so much. Don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Enclosed is my picture.
Look at this, Catherine. This man actually sent a picture. Oh, are you all right, Catherine?
Bleeding again.
Shall I get the nurse?
No, it did this before. It'll stop.
Maybe we should go.
Don't go.
Don't you need your rest?
Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah. Might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if it don't turn out so good. My mother's cousin, she went into the hospital for her appendix and she didn't come home again.
You just can't think that way. I mean, look at this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. Here's one from California.
What if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose his house and we'll be on the street. You'll be on the street too. Your father must still owe thousands, and you and Tommy will never get married. How can you stand it, Grace?
Catherine,
How can Tom stand it? Don't you ever wonder, Grace? I never hear him complain.
Catherine, as soon as the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. All they gotta do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
Think so?
Sure. I mean, once they can't see what kind of shape we're in, it'd be awful hard to ignore, don't you think?
That'll be something then, won't it? To look on Mr. Eater's face when we get up on that stand.
Now, you want to read some more letters?
They didn't have no chocolate, so I got some vanilla.
Took you long enough.
But don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me on the way over here. All of them reporters and all of them asking after you.
Waiting for me to die.
No one is waiting for you to die.
That's true. One of them called my mother, asking if I had died, and when she said no, he sounded disappointed.
Try to eat a little of this, you'll feel better.
Evening, girls! How about a picture?
Love of Mike. What the hell are you doing?
We need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000, that's what. What do you say, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
Who, that faith dealer?
Herbalist, Mr. Carter, herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just the thing you girls need to get back on your feet. And the graphic will pay for it. All we ask is the exclusive rights to your story from here on out. See for yourself.
You want to pay us to go see Bernard McFadden?
Let me see.
They're serious, Grace.
The graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
What does your father owe in the house?
I don't know exactly.
And that last hospital bill? That was a couple hundred at least.
At least.
And all we have to do is talk to this herbalist fella.
Of course, we'll have to get our money's worth out of it. A regular series of features with pictures, following the course of treatment, your illness, your recovery, or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you print whatever you want.
Maybe we add some color. Everybody adds color.
Doesn't sound that bad.
Maybe we should talk to Miss Wiley about it.
Miss Wiley, what's it to her? You're the ones with bills to pay.
It wouldn't be right to do something without talking to Miss Wiley.
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
Well, you'd take it if it came from the company.
The company owes us a lot more than that.
Yeah, if you ever see it.
Grace, maybe we should do
It
it.
just don't feel right.
Well, you're going to talk to them reporters anyhow. Why not get something out of it?
He's right, you know. Why give away the story when people are crazy to read it? Believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran the feature on you, bang, sold out every copy at every newsstand. Everyone can sympathize with the plight of some poor, sick girl facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment in motherhood.
I'd like you to go. My friend is tired. She needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure, think it over. I understand you're worried about what people will say. But hey, you gotta think of your own interests here. There's no reason you shouldn't be getting something out of this. Look out for number one, that's the way. Everyone else is out to get what they can, for sure. Why sit back and try to keep your noses clean when everyone else is up to their elbows in it?
Gentlemen, I have treated a number of the girls who claim they got sick here. One of them, the girl's jaw had rotted so badly I was able to remove the bone just by lifting it out of her mouth. As you can see...
That's all right, Dr. Neff. You can put that away.
Would you rather see on an x-ray? Now, this case was rather expensive to treat, and I never did get no compensation. The girl died. Her family never paid.
I sympathize, Dr. Neff, but what does that got to do with us?
Here it is straight. There's going to be a lot more girls coming in and saying they got sick from here. So maybe we can do some business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That sort of thing.
I'm not following you.
Say you was to give me a list of the girls who worked here. I would see to it that there were no more lawsuits.
You think you could cure them?
I couldn't put out a cure, no. What I'm saying is, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
I'd examine them for radium necrosis and come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Pyrrhia, say, or something else. Quite a few cases will just die a natural death anyways, and the rest we can put off until the statute of limitation kicks in and it's too late to sue.
You'll convince them they haven't got a case against the company?
Exactly. And if it were to come to court, I could testify that it was some other problem. And it would be a strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
Yeah, but what makes you so sure these girls would come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'd be paying you.
Exactly. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
Exactly what are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I need about $10,000 for my trouble so far, and for each girl I'd agreed to see from here on out, $2 for every visit, and expenses for the x-rays. Now, I'm suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it's not in writing.
No.
All right, we'll put it in writing.
We'll do nothing of the kind. Your proposal is immoral and will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral, you say? You're a fine one to be talking about morals when you've got your own hired guns ready to testify.
And those are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses? Paid lackeys is more like it. And none of them's got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'll play ball with me. Plenty of others are interested in the information I got.
You're threatening me.
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader, just looking after my own interests, same way you look after yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neff to the door.
All right. You don't want to play ball. Fine. But believe me, when all this shakes out, it won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements on what happened this morning. We'll send it to the State Dental Society. Then Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
An excellent idea.
I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
How do you mean?
We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true.
Mr. Lee says we're having trouble getting girls to work here.
And we've lost some of our contracts because of it.
And it's going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about the girls.
Making them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put out?
Other than to say that we'll try our case in court.
In the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have testimony from the dentist who treated those girls.
That could be useful. We should retain him.
Retain him as what, an extortionist?
As an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn.
Dr. Flynn is a highly respected professor from Columbia University. Neff is a neighborhood dentist.
Dr. Flynn did treat those girls, didn't he?
He didn't treat them, he merely consulted with them.
Dispensed medical advice.
It wasn't medical advice. It was an expert's opinion, a scientific opinion.
How about this? We retain that, but we don't put him on the stand. That way we keep him testifying for the women.
That's the most important thing.
I agree. That's the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that, Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader?
Edward! We can't do this. We can't possibly get into bed with a man like Neff.
Arthur's right. We don't want to do business with Neff.
He could hurt us. We have to take steps.
Neff has given us everything that we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for postponement.
Three months? 3 months to study an X-ray? That's outrageous! And the girls, did you see the girls? Their eyes were like saucers looking at me terrified.
Mr. Barry.
How are they going to hold out 3 more months? Catherine Jo could barely make it in the courtroom today. And Grace, she was trying so hard not to cry. Of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls, get some rest. That was the best I could do. Get some rest.
Doing wonderfully, Mr. Barry. It's a difficult case.
I understand people like Markley. And Reader, how can he play this kind of game with those poor girls sitting right there?
Maybe this will help to explain. I received a letter.
You think the company is going to take care of all this? But the kind of publicity it's gotten? But Markley seems to enjoy the sport of it all. What he can get away with, it's cold. Very cold.
Mr. Barry.
What's this?
It's from Catherine Drinker, Mrs. Cecil Drinker of Harvard. She's an industrial hygienist also. She worked with Dr. Drinker on his study of the radium plant. It was a joint effort, actually.
That's very interesting, Miss Wiley, but we've already seen that document. There's nothing in it to help us.
You've only seen part of it. Please, Mr. Bray, this is the complete report. I received it this morning. Mrs. Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers and was particularly disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger. The one where Mr. Lee says her study clears the company.
He doctored the report. Reader doctored the report.
Apparently he pulled out one page listing the blood conditions of a dozen employees and passed it off as the whole thing. Doesn't look so bad by itself, does it? But in context, it's somewhat of a different picture.
We could use this.
That should impress the judge.
The judge? Miss Wiley, I am not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to call that contact you have at the New York World. If Reader will let us present our evidence in the courtroom, then he can read about it in the newspaper.
January 12th, 1928. Jack Owen here for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the Graphic.
Radium Girls go to court today.
Radium Girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement.
ruin.
And death as the clock takes away the precious moment.
A hearing begins in Chancery Court.
Where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement.
As plaintiff's attorney Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure.
Showing the company lied to the Department of Labor.
Showing that the company distorted the results of a Harvard study.
Concealing the ill effects of its product.
Read all about it in the ledger. Your first source.
Read it in the Graphic! We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
I make a point not to these days.
If only other people would do the same. Mrs. Miller, from across the street, she walked right past me this morning. Didn't say a word to me. I know she saw me. And the women at the market, and the greengrocer, the way they glance at each other. At the club, Mrs. Middleton and the other ladies, the whispers.
Why don't you put that away? Read the journal. I saw it here the other day. Why don't you read that?
At the club today, someone actually had the nerve to say to me, "Is it true? Is it true?" she said. "Did your husband actually poison those women?" I said, "Mrs. Cowles, if you think it is true, then why speak to me at all? I certainly would not associate with a woman whose husband did such things."
Why do you go there then, if that's the way people are?
I've been a member for years.
For God's sake, what do you want me to say, Diane? I knew we were poisoning people, but we didn't want to stop it because we were making too much money. Is that what you want me to say?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sake, don't you see what's going on? It's Francis Shockey. He's behind this. He's jealous of our success. He's feeding information to the Consumers League so they can railroad us.
Why would the Consumers
Bunch of
League?
radical women. Do-gooders. Half of them are Reds, probably. Socialists, that's what they are. Same thing with that club you belong to.
What?
You women think you can go around and fix the world's problems while your husbands go out and make a living. You're going to quit that club.
Quit the club?
And stop talking to that idiot Mrs. Middleton. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Sense.
Women don't know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with Drinker's results.
Arthur.
I have a fiduciary duty to the company.
I can't listen to
Diane! I have documents. I have articles. People with tumors the size of baseballs. Mild radium therapy. The tumors disappear. Diane.
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
We save lives. We make lives better. Mild radium therapy invigorates. You can't really think I'm a liar, Diane. You can't think that I would set out to poison people, can you?
No.
Do you think I would ever do anything to hurt you? Or to hurt Harriet?
Certainly not.
Then
13 girls have died.
people die every day! Death notices in the newspaper. People young, old, children, infants younger than Harriet die every day.
But they worked for you.
They also worked other places. Diane, I have a report from Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene just like Drinker, who says there is no connection between our plant and these illnesses. Would you like to see the report?
Then, what could the cause be?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've done everything I could to find out. Nobody knows. Please, say you believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie.
Do you remember the day I told my father I wasn't going into the ministry? What you said to me that day?
You can do as much good in a boardroom as you can in a church.
You remember?
You think I would forget?
I was such a scared kid. And he was an icon. If it wasn't for you, I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have, Artie. I know you would have.
And ever since then, he's been looking for signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? That my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
We save lives, Diane.
You save lives.
It's all for you. You know that, don't you? Everything I do, it always has been.
I know.
Arthur!
Oh, please don't let that be another reporter.
Arthur!
Is that Mr. Lee?
Charlie, for God's sake!
I just got off the telephone with someone from the Legend.
This couldn't wait until morning?
I'm sorry. Good evening.
Mr. Lee?
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
That's not possible. I just saw him last week.
He was just here. A month ago for cards. He was just here.
Martlin's already done the autopsy. He says it was a severe anemia.
He's blaming the radium.
The Ledger's gonna run it on page 1. I told the reporter we would get them a statement by 8 o'clock. That's when they need it so it can run
When are the
tomorrow.
services?
I'm sorry?
The services.
I don't know.
We'll send flowers. Diane?
I'll call Louise.
Yes, that's right. Call
I
Louise.
should go over and see her right now. Poor Louise.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
She's filed for wrongful death action. The reporter from the Ledger told me. But I've been working on a statement.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course, or sailing, or his garden, Artie. He kept such a beautiful garden.
We'll talk about this in the morning, Charlie.
Yes, of course. Sorry to bring you the bad news, Mrs. Reader. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. We have to say something. I don't know what we'll say, but we have to say something. The stockholders will expect it.
You needn't explain.
Sometimes it's necessary to...
It's all right. You needn't explain. We're going to get rid of this now.
There's half a case under the sink.
We'll throw that out too. We'll have no more of it in this house.
I'll do it. Diane? I'm in too far to quit.
I really didn't expect you to.
February 21st, 1928, to Mr. Raymond Berry, from Harrison Martlet, medical examiner, Essex County. We've examined the remains of deceased Amalie Magia, and our studies reveal the following. Radioactive substances found in large quantities in the lower jaw, upper jaw, lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Riley of Consumers League declares new evidence shows company alive.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has turned over portions of the jawbone he extracted from her mouth. This x-ray film shows that the jawbone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No. This gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the Radium Corporation broke his long silence with this shocking announcement.
One of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Dr. Von Sashaki, is it true you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah, and given my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Magia absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
Doctor, what does this say for mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the death of these poor girls. It should be considered the most dangerous.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis? That the Radium Girls only have a year to live?
From what I have seen, they will be lucky to last that long.
I'll tell you what we should have done. We should have taken that reporter up on her deal when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000, don't make me laugh.
Yeah, we should have talked her up too. Because I'll tell you what, they'd have paid. God, and I'll tell you what else we should have done.
Stop telling me what we should have done. Lots of things we should have done. It don't do no good to think about them now.
All right, keep your shirt on.
What do you think, the red or the blue?
So what's Barry say? Is he going to go back to the company?
I like the red, but it don't fit too good these days.
Is he going to try and talk the company up a bit?
Miss Wiley says one more interview will do the job, so I say, what's one more, you know?
Well, it's worth a shot, don't you think? I mean, what if they came up to $5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up, I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
Settlement is just a way for them to hide.
So let them hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They were always going to win.
It's nice to see you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sakes, you got one lawyer working for nothing up against 6 other lawyers who are already getting a bundle. And you think you've got a chance?
Do you know what I found out today? They put lead screens in the laboratory for the technicians. Did they give us lead screens? What do you think? 100 girls in one room are going to spend that kind of money on us.
What
Miss
are we
Wiley
doing
says
here,
they're going to
Grace?
shut down here and move across the river to New York like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here? All right, I thought the idea was you would get some money to settle your debts, get a better doctor, and we'd just get on with things.
Get on with things?
You're still wearing my ring.
Tommy.
Grace. Look, there's a house for sale in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It's already got that flowered wallpaper. And best of all, it's only 2 blocks away from the school.
The school? What do we need with a school?
Plan ahead for once.
Tommy, what do you think is going to happen after this is all over? Do you think that everything is just going to go back to the way that it was?
Why wouldn't it?
I got to see the surgeon again.
Okay.
I got some fluid and he's going to drain it.
All right.
And then he says there'll be more
So
and
we
some more
deal
and
with
more
it
and
when
some more.
it
How do you not
comes.
see that? How can you talk about getting married and buying houses when you know that
Grace,
there is nothing?
I can't think about that. Okay, I just want for us to be together. All right, I want to come home to you at night, to my wife, to my home. All right, I'm too old to be living this in-between life. Look, I know it'll be hard, but I promise I'll do whatever it takes to make things easy for you.
Here.
Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
I don't want it.
Tommy, please, are you going to make me say it?
No, you're just not getting enough sleep.
Tommy.
All right, you get some sleep, and I'll be back
Tommy.
tomorrow, all right?
Tommy.
All right, you get some sleep.
Tommy!
Arthur.
Oh, Charlie.
Shouldn't we be heading home soon?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're taking the wrong approach here. We need to settle this case. We need to make a reasonable offer to those girls.
Arthur, we agreed. We need a definitive victory.
Things have changed.
I know you and Dan were close. Can't let that cloud your judgment.
Von Sasaki is going to testify.
We can deal with him.
How?
Put more money in his pocket.
Now you want to bribe him?
Not a bribe, a consideration.
Consideration?
For excellence. Remember Barry saying him will take a better off.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury to think about it.
Let me tell you something, Charlie. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. Don't you see? What Von Sasaki wants is to be free. That is why he is testifying for the girls. That is why he will never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you have to settle with all the others. Nev was right about that. This is only the beginning.
Tell Markley to get in touch with Barry. Get a conversation going. Come up with a figure the girls can accept.
Arthur! For God's sake, what are you trying to do to me? You want to wipe me out?
We've got to get this off the table!
Every penny I put behind the last 7 years, I put into this company. Why? Because you said it was a sure thing. No, miss. Why work for Von Sasaki when we can work for ourselves? Remember that one, Arthur? Take a chance, Charlie. Take a chance.
Charlie! We were fooled. Von Sasaki fooled us all. The only thing we can do now is try to clean it up the best we can.
Do this, and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down, Charlie?
Not me.
Well.
Don't you know? They're one vote away from getting rid of you.
And whose vote is that, Charlie?
Have you so little faith in me?
I'll still be a stockholder. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I'll still be on the board.
And still on the hook if this company goes under. Think about that the next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15, 1928, to Raymond Barry, attorney at law, from Edward Markley, counsel, U.S. Radium. One of our expert witnesses encountered a serious scheduling conflict, which makes it impossible for him to testify in April. We have therefore requested an extension until June. As for your request for settlement, every case has a humanitarian aspect to it. Therefore, I'm afraid that cannot be the basis on how we settle this one. But I have no doubt that your good work will be rewarded, if not in this life, then in the next.
Tommy, please!
Rise and shine.
Madam Curie.
Time for work.
Am I late? I set the alarm.
We have 5,000 dials to paint before breakfast. Up! It's all for the war effort.
Please, I'm so very tired.
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
But I'm dying.
And who isn't?
Get up, Grace. Irene.
Get up, sleepyhead. You'll never make quota like this.
It's not fair. I'm only 26. I should be married, have children, my own home.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
I know I did.
But why? Why do we have to make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace.
Science, family. Every life is sacrificed to something. It's just a matter of choosing which.
But I didn't choose. I didn't have no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine! Catherine? No, look what you did, Grace. She's bleeding all over the place. I'm sorry, Catherine. I guess I shouldn't have said nothing.
No problem. What's one more dead dial bender?
Huh?
Grace.
Mama?
Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing the papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She said she might stop by. Did she come by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, Grace. After Mr. Markley leaves, we'll go over there and see how she is.
I dreamed that she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage, Grace.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500, it's not even a year's wages.
Well, it's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth to you? Better than nothing?
Oh, of course not, sweetheart, but you gotta be realistic. At the rate things are going, you're never gonna get inside that courtroom, and even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Barry thinks that we can.
Mr. Barry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor and the bank and the coal man. We can't expect folks to treat us like charity just because you're
Not
sick.
asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down, but if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. Now we'll take that check, pay the bills, and whatever's left you and Tom can have. A little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Ma.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Ma, please.
Can't you see? He can't face the thought of you not being with us.
I do. I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? Why, I can't imagine. There's no point to it. Oh. Ma, you didn't tell me I got mail. New Mexico, huh? They just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Ma, Miss Wiley was here. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma said you brought papers.
Yes, the terms we explained in our letter. $1,500 to you. I have the check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in triplicate.
What's hold harmless?
You agreed to hold the company harmless from any further action.
No more lawsuits?
Correct.
Is that just me or anyone in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about it being confidential.
That's standard for most legal settlements, Miss Fryer. We like to protect our privacy and your privacy also. It cuts both ways. You agreed to keep silent about the terms of the settlement, and so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the settlement to you.
Ma.
I don't mind.
What is contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in them papers. It was in the other ones that you filed when we did the lawsuit. The radium plant said its defense was the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
As I said, it's standard defense. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. Maybe you could just leave the
Maybe
papers.
he can just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley was here?
Because you'd already made up your mind. She'd only try and talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, if you'll just
Ma,
leave the papers.
what did she
said
say?
It don't look good.
Perhaps I should come back when Miss Fryer's feeling better.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley, and I'd really like an answer because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. I went to work at that radium plant because my folks needed the money. When I was there, they told us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I never asked questions. I did what I was told. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's standard defense.
There's nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret your situation, Miss Fryer, but there's no tie to your condition to any actions by the U.S. Radium Corporation.
Then why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian gesture?
Mr. Markley, I'll take the papers.
Humanitarian. Month after month you put us off, delay after delay, knowing how sick and tired and desperate we were. Humanitarian, you are waiting for us to die.
Grace, please, stop this now.
Ma, one by one I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way possible. And you think that I should be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Miss Fryer, This is a very generous offer. I'd advise you to take it, because it won't be on the table very long.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer does not sign within 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw the offer. Permanently.
Right, he's lying.
I beg your pardon, miss?
You're telling me that if I don't sign this now, but I come back in a week later saying I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court? You'd still rather a judge get a good look at me and take your chances I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours, you're just trying to bully me.
Very well then, Miss Fryer. I'll take that as a no. And we'll see you in court.
Yes, you will. You will see me in court, even if they have to carry me in there, you and Mr. Reader both.
You call that man back.
I'm going to court, Mom.
What are you trying to prove? You know you can't win.
I want these people to look at me. I want them to look at me and tell me how it's my fault I got sick working in their company.
And what will that get you? What?
Ma, all my life I have done what other people have told me to do. I quit school because you said I should. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said that I should. I never said, please, can't I finish school? I never said, I don't like the taste of this paint. I never argued. Even though I knew, Ma, something wasn't right. At night, I'd see my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow, my shoes on the floor, my brush and comb on the dresser. So much light, Ma. So much light. And I never once questioned. I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew that I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Sir, so it was you making this noise.
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got the messages.
Since we are no longer in business together, I thought it best to not respond.
So that's what this is about?
Perhaps a cup of tea will calm your nerves.
You never told us the paint was dangerous. You never said a word about it, not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. You invented the paint and you didn't know. How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should put you through that wall.
Perhaps you should, but you will not. You will sit down, you will have some tea, and you will calm yourself.
I was not the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yeah, I wasn't a technical man. Sit down.
I sold watches, for Christ's sake. I was a salesman.
A good one at that. Very good head for the business you have. Not so much the science, but for the business, very smart. Always you could find ways to cut the cost without losing the quality. That is a gift, Arthur. Now, have some tea.
Jesus Christ, what's the matter with your hands?
They've been that way for some time.
What have you been, dipping them in ink?
Dipping them in ink. How fond of the pretty story you are, Arthur. No, Dr. Martland tells me it's a necrosis of the tissue. The cells, they are dying. With dial painters in the jaw it started. The necrosis with me in the hands.
I had no idea.
No reason why you should. We have not seen each other for some time.
How long?
I've known for quite a while. Miss Wiley from the Consumers League persuaded me to assist Dr. Martlin in testing the dial painters for radium exposure. So aren't that many people, you know, who can test that kind of thing. So she came to me, knowing I had the equipment and, of course, the skill. I didn't want to believe her either, Arthur. I didn't want to believe the girls could get sick with using my paint. So I agreed to help. Dr. Martlin and I conducted expired air tests on the girls. It was then that I realized, when my own breath registered radioactive, and then my hands, they began to turn black. Now, you wish to have words with me.
I'm sorry.
Perhaps now you should make an appointment with Dr. Maitland yourself.
Me? What for?
Arthur, did you not notice a glowing dust on your shoes when you went home at night?
How could I miss it? I tracked it all over the floor.
You can be sure that a good deal of it is now in your lungs. Look familiar.
It's our promotional piece.
An excellent promotion. How many new sales did it account for?
I didn't track it exactly, but I'd like to think that it helped our medical market quite a bit.
Page 96.
What?
The last chapter. Read it to me.
Radium. Dangerous effects.
Dangerous effects. Now, how many articles are listed there? 10, 15?
About 18, it looks like.
And how far back do they go, those articles?
I don't know.
The first one. There. What is the date?
1906.
1906. Now, let me see. You plan to testify in court that you had no idea radium was dangerous. How do you plan to do that, Arthur, when your own book says it was?
I never really read it.
What's that?
I never really read it. I glanced at the galleys. I hired a man to put it together. I never read the book.
How do you mean you never read the book?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for the content.
Which you never read.
I think you will find, Mr. Barry, that very few company presidents have read their own promotions word for word.
It has your name on it, you authorized its release, and you had final approval of the content.
Mr. Lee was responsible for our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those activities to him.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918.
Yes, as plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
4 years.
During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes on their lips.
I don't recall.
You're saying you went into the studio every day and never saw a single girl putting a brush in her mouth?
I said I don't recall it.
You don't recall it? Then what do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory.
Objection!
I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness, Mr. Markley.
We have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
Your Honor, we have yet defense.
I realize, Mr. Markley, but this hearing is to determine standing, and I have heard enough these past 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their system. Nothing your witness will say will change that, will it?
Your Honor, our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the danger.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I am asking that the defense rest without calling forth any witnesses. We can end this hearing here and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule that the statute of limitations has not been exhausted and that these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I have a very busy schedule coming up with 2 cases pending, and one of our key witnesses will be unavailable till the end of the summer. We cannot be available until September.
Your Honor!
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but our chief expert witness is associated with the Institute of Higher Learning, and it goes until the end of the summer. I cannot expect him to appear.
Mr. Markley is the one responsible for that situation. He is the one who has demanded continuous delays.
Your Honor, we just waived our right to present witnesses at this hearing. Surely you will not force force us to go to trial without the presence of our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. The trial is set for September. This hearing is adjourned.
Edward, why can't Flynn appear?
Going to Europe.
Europe? But he's known about this for months. Well, why would he? Oh, very clever. How long do you plan to keep this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley!
Mr. Barry, congratulations. I never thought the court would go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. What is so well she couldn't appear in court?
My client has the right to make his defense.
We will not wait until September. I promise you that. One way or another, we will find room on the docket, and your expert witness will be damned.
That girl is still staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal. How do I make her understand that I didn't want this to happen?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
But she looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death, Arthur.
Grace? That man, Miss Wiley, he won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me like I'm not even here.
It doesn't matter. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Jack Youngwood for the Ledger.
Raymond Barry seeks trial date for early summer.
As U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash to each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the Ledger, your first source for news. Isn't it an admission of responsibility?
What about the other pending cases? Where does the company go from here?
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey's Consumers League. Our press statement.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Miss Wiley?
Finally, these poor girls receive some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Thank you, Miss Wiley.
And the spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one L and Catherine with a K.
We're finally back in business.
What's your game plan?
Haven't I told you? I have a buyer for the tailings piling up behind the building on Alden Street.
Oh.
A contractor in Montclair needs a little infill.
That's perfect.
It worked for this session.
No, Catherine, this won't do. We can't see your name. That's better. Well, Catherine, I brought my paints today. And such a beautiful day, too. The leaves are starting to turn, but it's still warm. Too warm for a sweater. A lovely day to paint.
Thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
It's quiet up here.
Yep,
Well, I guess if you can rest in peace, this is the place to do it, huh?
I guess so.
So what do you call that?
Watercolors. I'm a little weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, it's nice, Grace. It's good.
First thing I bought with the settlement money was some paint. Got some oils, too.
Big spender.
And then I bought a car.
A car? I didn't know you knew how to drive.
I can't. My brother said he'll teach me. He drove me up here today.
Grace, you want to learn how to drive, I'd teach you.
Tommy, we both know you have other things you gotta do now.
So you know about that.
Tommy, Orange just isn't that big.
I meant to tell you myself, Grace, but that's why I came up here, was to try
It's all right, Tommy. I'm happy for you. For the both of you.
So no hard feelings then?
Do you think I have the time for that?
Well, I'm glad it worked out for you. Are you glad? Or you don't feel like you backed down too soon, do you?
We didn't back down. They backed down.
He was over here. This is where I saw her that last time. I stood there for a long time. She didn't notice me at first, but then something made her look up.
Oh, my.
No wonder Mom won't go for drives with you anymore if this is how you spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me. And I looked away.
Just like at the courthouse that day, he can't bring himself to look at me.
We need to find another copy. China isn't that big.
My heart started pounding, Harriet. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance. And suddenly, there she was. And I had the chance.
So, what did you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's as if he's afraid to speak to me.
I had my chance. And I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me.
Papa, that was years ago. I mean, just forget about it. It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about stuff like that then. Science wasn't as advanced, the way it is now.
I think back on those days. And I try to think, how could it have happened? I so clearly remember climbing the stairs to the studio at Alden Street. Those wide, high windows, the slant of the light, the way it hit the floor, the way the floor creaked under my feet, the smell of the place, chalky like an old schoolroom. And those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to their task in their plain green smocks, their delicate little hands moving so quickly. No man could move the way those girls moved. So careful, so fast. Their brushes flying from the dials to the paint to the dials to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, I cannot remember their faces. I never saw their faces.